Well, good evening, Sheraton, and welcome to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. How's everybody doing tonight? Can I hear a loud clap after a great victory? Well, this past Saturday, of course, the Southwestern Pirates defeated the Belhaven Blazers at home 21-10. Before we dig in with Coach Joe Austin, let's take a look at some of those highlights from Saturday. Going to keep it behind his blockers. Now bounces to the left across the logo at the 25. Still on his feet, and he's got a 10-yard run to the 29 for the first down. And Hover instead going to keep it. He's got daylight across the 40. Hover has got one man to beat as he crosses the 30. He's going to run out of steam and finally drug down at the 25. McEachern going to go down at the 43-yard line. A sack on the play, the second one of the evening for Southwestern. First down and 10 from the 39. In motion is Brandenburg. Hover going to step back all alone now. Throws over all alone is Devin Shaw. Shaw at the 30 to the left side. 20. Shaw still on his feet. Shaw to the 5, and he'll be brought down out of bounds on the left side. What a pass and reception by Devin Shaw. McEachern, dodging defender, still on his feet, and he's going to be slammed near the 30. What a play by the Pirates! Is that defense coming through, putting a dagger on McEachern near the 30? It was Christopher Crawford saying, "Get out of my house, baby!" From the 16, over shotgun. Same formation with those trips to the left. Going to pitch this one forward over to Markel Henderson, and Markel's got daylight across the 35 to the 40 on the right side. Over, shotgun, Shaw his back, Hover going to keep it, finds a gun up the middle, and he walks in for the 8-yard quarterback keeper.
I really challenged our offense at halftime. I used some volume and language that I don't always use. Maybe it worked because we scored more in the second half. We really exerted our will in the run game, and then luckily, the wind subsided enough that we could open the whole playbook. We were able to throw more in the second half, get guys involved, and keep them a little bit more off balance. But the story is definitely how well the defense played. Held them to 3 points on a short field in the first half, and then it was the one busted coverage that led to their only score.
But, Coach, we got to talk about just the great job that Southwestern did against a very tough Belhaven team. I just mentioned Fred Hover getting that ASC honor this week, rushed for almost 300 on the ground alone. To get started, let's really talk about his story and the performance he had after coming in for an injured player for Southwestern, Coach.
With Fred?
Yeah, with Fred and how he came in and ran the ball almost 300.
Well, Fred not really coming in for someone because he's our starting quarterback, but I think what you're getting at is he really had to pick up. When Kalen Heim went down, he had to pick up more of the load, and the way they defended us was as much of how Fred produced. Also in our option game, they decided that they were going to contain the pitch player and let Fred run, and so that's kind of what you get. You pick your poison, and you'd think maybe with Kalen gone as our pitch back, maybe they'd adjust what they would do, but they stuck with it. They wanted to contain our pitch player and try to keep the ball more to the middle of the field. And Fred did a great job, but a lot of holes got opened up also. And we mentioned that they're kind of a unique front. They're a really odd three-man stack type defense that you don't see a lot. And our offensive linemen did a really good job, and our backs helped an awful lot as well. Devin Shaw, we saw his big highlight pass play. He blocked really well. And we saw Markel Henderson on the shovel pass. He came in and did really well. And those are two guys you're going to see the rest of the season probably pick up even more playing time.
Well, Coach, Southwestern ran 77 total offensive plays compared to 51 for Belhaven. We saw a little trickeration, I guess, as we call it in this game, where A.J. Daniels and Tavon Gwynn threw a pass. Each of those guys coming in on some trick plays there. Can you talk a little bit more about your offense and the play of those guys?
Well, we try to keep things off balance a little bit, and A.J. Daniels, who's going to be on the show, tonight came in as a quarterback, and he didn't move to quarterback because he wasn't good at that. He moved to quarterback because he had the physical skills to be one of the best, if not the best, tight ends in any conference that we're in, and also because we had guys like Fred Hover that could allow us to move other guys around. So there's always a couple plays a year where AJ gets to throw it, and usually he and Fred hook up. Actually, against Belhaven, they had a touchdown pass last year, so I didn't tell him, but I was a little bit disappointed they didn't score a touchdown this year on their Daniels to Hover pass. And then with Tavon, we've run some reverses. So we were in a reverse pass off of a look similar to what we were in a reverse against Sul Ross the week before. And those are things that we always try to have in and have ready if the situation's right for it.
Well, Coach, several receivers getting touches for Southwestern as well, including Devin Shaw, who we had on the highlight film there, alongside Markel Henderson, A.J. Daniels, Landry Bray, and even Fred Hover getting that pass from A.J. Daniels. Can you talk about just your receiving core and your thoughts on their play during that game?
The wind made it really difficult in the first half, and so we didn't throw the ball a lot. It was interesting that we wanted to take the ball early, and actually we scored on our first drive. They won the coin toss and deferred, which gave us the ball, and then they chose to give us the wind also. So they kicked into the wind, put the wind at our back, and even though it was still difficult to throw with the wind, it was just kind of a perfect little setup to get us started and to keep them on some short fields. And we had the field pretty well tilted in the first quarter. It was in the second half that the wind kind of subsided, and actually the wind shifted in the fourth quarter. So we took the wind. It was our choice in the third quarter, and obviously we want the wind at our back. And then it kind of, as the weather changed a little bit, the wind kind of went cross field and then was almost behind us again in the fourth quarter. And that allowed us to get some more guys involved. Landry Bray did some really nice things. He had a really key fourth down catch on a drive in the second half. We got A.J. Daniels involved a little bit, and we're just able to spread the ball a little bit more and be balanced. It's tough to go through a whole game against the wind. There's only so many different run concepts and run things that you're going to do. So to be able to pass more and open up our playbook and get more guys involved, I thought was a big key to us scoring a little bit more in the second half.
Well, Coach, as I mentioned at the opening, of course, Southwestern had a great defensive night. They excelled in that run defense once again, only allowing 47 yards of net rushing. Can you expand on how important that's been, and then talk a little bit more about some of the great things that the defense did versus Belhaven?
We talked all season long about our rushing defense is going to be what our calling card is defensively. We're going to commit as many folks as necessary to make that work, and it was another successful day. We had a couple letdowns. They had a couple long runs, a 25, 30-yard run, and that accounted for everything. And, of course, we're trying to eliminate that, especially as we move into our next game against a top 10 team. Which we'll get to going down the road. But as a head coach, we're thinking about what our flaws may be, and we're very good overall, but we have to make sure that there's none of those letdowns that turn into a couple long plays. We also rushed the passer well. Mm-hmm. We saw they moved the ball down into scoring range, and then we got a sack for about a 20-yard loss on a third down, then knocked them out of range. So our guys that are playing in the box are doing a good job. And our young secondary also is holding up better. We saw some good pass defenses in the highlights, and there could have been more of those that were picked. So we're continuing to make progress, and we're going to hang our hat on our rush defense for sure.
Well, Coach, overall a good game. A couple of things that I wanted to bring out, and then if you can expand on those a little bit, not to play negative Nancy, but Southwestern, a little bit of trouble holding on to the ball. They dropped it 4 times, luckily able to recover those drop balls, though. You talked about it earlier. It was pretty windy outside. It was overcast. I mean, we felt the stadium, and we talk about a Birkelbach field that seats 12,000 people. We could fill it up in the box moving at times. Just talk a little bit about that ball handling and some of the other areas that you guys may have struggled in that game.
Well, we're not very good at ball security. We fumble the ball a lot. We throw too many interceptions, and that's really been a hindrance to our success this year. We practice it. We emphasize it. It's just one of those things that we're not very good at that. You can't go through football season, especially in the conference that we're in, fumbling as much as we do. We're also one of the worst teams in the country in penalties, which continues to perplex me and be something that we need to work on. It's gotten a little bit better, and we emphasize it, we coach it, we penalize it. We're just not very good at it. And until we can eliminate penalties and eliminate turnovers, we're going to have tighter games than we probably should.
Well, Coach, on third down, Southwestern goes 3 for 11. Not really where you guys want to be in the third down category, but, still coming through with the win. There was some drives there that you had talked about, and some of the other that you did with Kip McConaughey talking about just not finishing drives. Talk about the third downs and how important those are for you guys.
Well, third down actually was a little bit better than the stats indicated initially. I think we went back and had some revised stats. We did pretty well on third down. We actually were about 50%. We're more like 5 or 6 out of 11 than 3 out of 11. I think there were a few things that just got shifted. In the stats initially are listed as a second or a fourth down. So we did okay. And then we scored well in the red zone, except we had the one interception on a reverse pass, which you can put on me. Maybe that wasn't the right time to call it. Maybe we could execute it better. You can debate that. And then at the end of the second quarter, we ran out of time, and it wasn't a total hurry-up situation, but we had to move pretty fast. We still had a great opportunity for a very short field goal, and we missed it. So you can put those opportunities into our struggle category. We struggle sometimes finishing kicks lately. We've missed a lot of kicks the last 2 weeks. We turn the ball over a lot, and we have a lot of penalties, and that's not that's not a great formula. That puts you in a situation to have to overcome a lot. Now, luckily, we can run the ball and we can stop the run, and that usually keeps you in the game. Mm-hmm. But to be really good down the stretch, and we have 2 ranked teams of our last 3 opponents left, we're going to have to do those 3 things better. We're going to be opportunistic and score. We're going to have to make kicks. We're going to have to hang on to the ball, and we're going to have to eliminate penalties.
Coach, this game originally scheduled to start a little bit earlier in the day the night before, the decision made to change that due to possible severe weather. I can't ever fault for that because you never know what's going to happen. It's always, better to be a little safe than sorry. What effect, though, does that have on the game? I know the game plan probably doesn't change much because you're still playing during the day, but talk about that and the time change, and did that give you some extra time of preparation, things like that, Coach?
No, but we were done with the players by the time the announcement was made. So players were prepped that there'd be an administrative decision on when the game would be played. So it really didn't affect them. They could go either way, whether it was 1 or 4. And it was really about trying to avoid lightning. And of course, forecasts are tough. So with the athletic administration, we had about printouts of about 5 or 6 different weather forecasts, trying to figure it out. I'd been talking to the Belhaven coach throughout the day, and actually they were the first push when their coach called me early Friday and said, hey, I'm looking at this. Do we need to push back? It looks like our best window's later. But we're also sensitive to their travel. Their last coaching staff made us play a 7 o'clock game and then drive home in the middle of the night and get home at 5 a.m. And I told their coach when we were working on game times at our conference meeting last January, I wasn't going to make them do that if they don't make me do that anymore. So that's why we're playing a day game. But we all thought that 4 p.m. Was okay as far as player safety and health. They're going to get home a little bit later, but they weren't going to get home losing a whole night of sleep. So you make your best guess. It would have worked out okay at 1. But actually it worked out well at 4 because, as we talked about, the wind did change and the wind did die down, and that really did benefit us being able to throw the ball a little bit in the second half.
Well, Coach, through a lot of games so far this season, working through some injuries, can you talk about how your team and specifically the young guys have stepped up, in a season that you really didn't want to have injuries, but they've happened, they do happen? Talk about the young guys and the way that they have stepped up into some of their roles playing for these injured players, Coach.
Yeah, it's what you have to do, I guess, right? Kalen went out of the game. Luckily, the guys that stepped in for him are very experienced. We've had guys that have played a lot at those positions. Mm-hmm. So that's been one place. You don't want to lose a player like Kalen, who's averaging 100 yards a game. But there's guys, and they've been on the show. Markel Henderson as a senior has played a lot of football. Devin Shaw as a junior has played a lot of football. So that's a spot that's not easy to fill, but I definitely feel better about that. You're not like, are we going to know what the plays are? Are we going to know what to do? It was early on injuries where we had to shuffle things in our offensive line that have been difficult. An early injury in our defensive line made things difficult. Overall, our health on our offense was out the window early, and it's just continued to kind of diminish. Defensively, we really haven't had a whole lot since about week 3. We lost a player for the season, so that side of the football has been more healthy, and hopefully they can continue to stay that way.
And, Coach, for some of the veteran players on the team that do get injured, they step into a mentorship role, I guess, if you will, on the sidelines. Is that correct? Because we see a lot of them working with some of the other players. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You would like to see that. It all depends on where they're at with their leadership development, where they're at with their mentality. Some guys, when they go down, it's all they can really handle to work on their own rehab and their own process of handling things from week to week. But you have guys like TJ Vela, who's around quite a bit and is still a guy that's emotional and can be a spiritual lift for us. It just really comes down to what guys can do with their own stage of development. Injuries are really tough, and having missed a whole season myself in my college career, I can attest to it. It's mentally very challenging, and you're in that 18 to 22-year-old age group where a lot's changing your brain chemistry anyhow, and a lot's going through your mind, and a long-term injury can be a really difficult thing to deal with.
Well, as we continue, last question here with Coach Joe Austin on this first segment. Thanks for joining us again here on SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Coach, your final thoughts on just kind of a wrap-up of this game, your final thoughts on that before we move into the second segment. I know we got the bye week coming up. We're going to talk about that, though, in the last segment, but just some final thoughts from you regarding this game, Coach.
Well, I thought it was a pretty well-played game. We talked about some of our shortcomings. We missed our kick in the first half, and we missed a scoring opportunity on an interception, on a reverse pass. But we really moved the ball well all day on offense. When you can run for 350 yards, you're going to find yourself competitive. And then defensively, you showed a little clip of what I said to Chuck in the postgame. We gave up 3 points when the wind was against us. We had a short punt. They got the ball on our half of the field. We held them to 1 first down in the field goal. And then their only touchdown came on a blown call. Again, put this in our category of things we don't do well. If there's one thing we're struggling with on defense, it's a perplexing thing, and maybe the parents watching can help talk to their sons, why 11 guys can't look over to the sideline, see what signal Coach Ebo's giving us, and then run that play. I don't know how we struggle with that. But we had 2 guys that didn't know what the defense was, and that turned into an 89-yard touchdown. Other than that, we did really well on defense.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you, your accessibility this season, and all the fine work that you do at Southwestern. We will shift into our second segment. Again, let's give it up for head football coach Joe Austin. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. We will step aside, move into our second segment as we talk with guests and more. Stay with us, friends. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues live from the Sheraton Georgetown Austin Hotel here in Georgetown, Texas. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Rob Hipp here. Hey, by the way, before we move into the segment with our guests, I wanted to put the anxiety here on Cole a little bit longer while he's sitting here next to me. Any first-time guests here tonight? Can I see a show of hands? I saw a few folks here. Well, we'll clap anyway. So if you're hearing us or those on the web stream, if you're joining us for the first time, thank you for being here tonight. Well, we're now joined by the senior offensive lineman, number 64, Cole Atterbury, a senior from Kingwood, Texas. Talking about a young man that went to Kingwood Park High School north of Houston. And we talked about it before we went live. Lake Houston, I'm going to ask you about that, just right outside of that area. Some awards for this young man, the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award in 2016, the Dean's List back in Dean's Fall List of 2016, SCAC Academic Honor Roll in 16, the ASC All Academic Team in 2017. A young man that's majoring in business, minoring in environmental studies, a member of Phi Delta Theta. Cole, first of all, man, thank you for being here this evening. Can you talk just a little bit, as we do with all of our guests, about your high school days there at Kingwood Park and and just some overview of how much fun you had there in high school.
Yeah, it was a great time. Played at Kingwood Park. My brother's actually playing there now. Give a shout out to him. He's playing tonight, so go Panthers. Yeah, growing up there was a great time. My grandparents both live in Kingwood. My parents both grew up in there. We're high school sweethearts. It was pretty cool going to the same high school where my parents went. It was fun. I got to grow up with my grandparents that lived out in Lake Houston. Got to have some fun out in the lake, play a lot of good football.
Yeah, I was about to ask you because as I was looking at Kingwood Park, we broadcast for Georgetown, and in baseball this year, Georgetown faced Kingwood Park, and so that's the first time that I've had any interaction there, and people were talking, hey, we got a beautiful lake, and so when I saw that, I said, I guarantee that Cole was on the lake growing up, man, so. Yeah. Well, how did you end up playing football here in Southwestern University, a beautiful campus right here in a wonderful town? Tell us about that.
Well, I've always loved the hill country. My family has a ranch up in the hill country, and so I love this part of Texas. I knew I wanted to stay in Texas. I didn't want to go too far away from home, and 3 hours is a pretty good drive. It's just far enough to get away. It's still close enough to go home on the weekends. So I loved the school when I first came here. I loved the campus. I fell in love with it very quickly. I love Georgetown. It's got a great small town feel, but you're still pretty close to Austin, so you got all the big city stuff you can do. But I really fell in love with the campus.
Awesome, man. Well, you were here in 2016 during the SCAC days, correct? If I'm not mistaken, of course, winning some of those awards. Can you talk about the SCAC and I always ask this to the guys that played in the SCAC and now the ASC. For you, what have you noticed that's been a big difference from that conference here to the ASC?
Well, starting off in the SCAC, freshman year we didn't have a winning record. Coming into sophomore years when we had the conference championship, so it's been great to see the caliber of teams that we've played now. Obviously, each week is a new and different challenge. It's been really fun to have playing the best of the best. Each week we're playing really good teams, top ranked teams. So it's fun to be able to play the big guys.
Well, as we continue to talk to Cole Atterbury here, Southwestern, you guys are now on a 2-game winning streak. I accidentally did a typo. I put a 0 there. 20-game winning streak would have been nice. But you guys are on a 2-game winning streak. Can you talk about how important these past 2 wins have been, especially the one versus Belhaven last Saturday? It's good to be back on a winning track. Talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
we hit a kind of a rough patch after the first 2 games, with some of the guys going down, and the team was feeling a little bit of a grind, just trying to get through those games. It's been a great uplift in spirits over the last couple weeks. The team's feeling good now. We're on bye week now, so we're getting some of the guys back that were down and having some pain. They're coming back. Like I said, it's been a great morale boost for the team.
Awesome. Well, as a senior, there's always guys that look up to seniors. And can you talk about your leadership role as to the underclassmen? I know there's some players that look up to you, especially you being on the line. So talk about that.
Yes, sir. The 4 offensive line seniors, we've all kind of really stepped up in our own different ways. I'm more of a kind of a quiet guy. I like to show up and just do my thing and let that kind of be the role that I like to put out. We've had a lot of younger guys playing, especially on the offensive line, stepping up for positions that have been available because of injuries and stuff like that. So it's been really helpful for the younger guys for us to kind of step in and show them really how we do things.
Well, something I was excited about, you've had some family, Cole, that has played a little college ball, your dad at Arkansas, and then your 2 uncles. And correct me if I'm wrong, I was just doing a little research here, but your uncles Ty, your uncle Kyle at Baylor. And, dude, I didn't go to Baylor, but I'm pretty much a wannabe Baylor. I've been my whole life, so sick 'em to everybody out there. But can you talk about the influences that your father and your uncle have had, and especially those guys playing some college ball as well, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a part of my life. When I was younger, my dad was out in the backyard helping me my stance and stuff like that. My dad was the only offensive lineman in the family. The other 2 were kickers, as you said. So we've always been the bigger ones in the family. So we like to give them a little bit of nudge here and there. But yeah, they've been really big influences in my life. like I said, my dad helping me out with my stance and that sort of thing. And it's just also pushed me to, know that there was more after high school. Not that many people get the chance to go and play college football. But it was a big influence in my decision really to come play college football.
See, sitting here next to you when I was, your age, it wasn't too long ago, but I think I weighed maybe 130 pounds. So that's why I broadcast football and don't play football, man. So, but we appreciate you being here. Can you talk a little bit, as we continue to talk to Cole Atterbury here, talk a little bit about what's been some of your most favorite moments at Southwestern here in your college career?
Oh, man, some of my favorite moments obviously was sophomore year when we won the conference championship. The bond that I still have with the guys that were on that team is something really special. I talk with a lot of those guys that have graduated weekly. A bond with Fred especially has been great to reconnect with. A lot of people don't know Fred and I played Little League football together.
Had no idea.
Back when we were younger, we played on a Little League team together. So when we both knew we were coming to Southwestern, it was fun to reconnect. And I live right across the hallway from Fred, so it's fun to get to keep to know those guys.
Awesome. Well, can you talk a little bit about some of the other influences? We talked about your uncles and your dad. Maybe some other influences have had an impact on your life.
Yeah, one of the other really big influences in my life has been Travis Swanson. He was a center at Kingwood High School. He was a little bit older than me, several years older. He also played at Arkansas, was a center there, and has spent several years in the pros right now. Growing up watching him especially has been a really big influence in my life. We're both centers, so it was cool to watch him play, and especially watch him play at Arkansas after my dad played there. So that was a really big influence.
You've been here at Southwestern for some time, but now the senior year is rolling through. Talk about where you want to be at after college. Where do you see yourself? Where would you like to be?
Oh, that's a big question.
That's why I ask it, to get the gears turning.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a business major. I really kind of chose that because I'm really not sure what path I wanted to go down. This last summer, I took an internship at a glass company in Houston, did a lot of logistical things and that sort of stuff. And that was very interesting. So I think I kind of want to do something along those lines after college.
Awesome. Well, I think, just from our 7 or 8 weeks of being here and talking to you guys, all of you and your teammates, I can truthfully and heartfully say anything that you guys want to do, as long as you keep up with the great work at Southwestern, I really believe that you're going to be able to excel wherever you're at, young man. So just keep that rolling. Finally, the camera right there, Mickey behind it. If you want to look right there, who do you want to send a shout-out to tonight, man, as we're live and online? I'm
going to give a shout-out to my mom first, taking me on my Little League practices. Give a shout-out to my dad. Like I said, my brother playing tonight. Go Panthers. I want to give a shout-out to the rest of the offensive line. Give a shout-out to all the guys that are on the scout team helping us getting ready for next week.
Awesome, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up. Great young man, as always, here. Another outstanding student at Southwestern, Cole Atterbury. Best of luck to you, young man. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take another quick break. Stay with us, friends. We'll have one more guest before we move into our third segment. We will take a quick break. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues here on SHN Sports. Stay with us, friends. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. I'm Rob Hipp, now joined by our special guest, the senior tight end, number 12, A.J. Daniels. Let's give it up for A.J. Thank you for being here, young man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You know, I had an opportunity to meet you at the press conference before the season started, and just like I've said about all of you guys, just another outstanding young man, and so awesome to be sitting next to you. Man, it's a privilege to be able to sit next to you guys.
Thank you.
You know, we all look up to you. Of course, A.J. senior from Benbrook, Texas, went to Western Hills High School southwest of Fort Worth. Just like we talked earlier, I bet you grew up near the lake too, man. Benbrook Lake, that was right near you, wasn't it?
It was really close to us, but I never really went there. Grew up on a farm, so I spent most of the time out there. If we went to the lake, it was probably near Lake Texoma.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that farming too, man, because I saw some of that. Well, some of the awards, the Director of Athletics Academics Excellence Award 2016, 17, and 18. The Dean's List 2015 through 2018 as well. And friends, don't let that just slip through. I'm talking about a Dean's List every year. This has been phenomenal for A.J. He was named to SCAC. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for that. I mean, that is something to be recognized. The SCAC Academic Honor Roll, of course, before the ASC back in 2015-16. You were also named on the D3 Football Team of the Week back on Week 6 of 2017. The ASC All-Academic Team 2017. The All-ASC Second Team in 2017. You're majoring in psychology. So, man, the awards have been coming your way, but it's because you've earned them. You've worked hard, just like a lot of your teammates. Some great things. You know, thanks for being here. Talk a little bit, though. I know we just briefly mentioned it, but talk a little bit about growing up there in Benbrook and your high school career, A.J. You had a lot of things going on there as well.
I did. So, like I said, I grew up on a farm right outside of Benbrook, and I'm sure some of the stuff you probably saw is when I came into school, I put some of my show cow information on there because we weren't very good in high school. I wanted to get some extra stuff on there. And so going to high school at Western Hills, it was a great experience. Weren't really good at football, but it led me to going to Southwestern, so it was a great experience.
Awesome. Well, I got to mention this too, man, and you're going to have to tell us about this. I'm excited when I read about this. You received a Best Actor award in the Texas UIL one-act play competition in 2014 and 15. Talk a little bit about that, man. That is pretty awesome.
Well, my 9th grade year of high school, I decided to do theater because I thought there were a ton of girls in it, and I thought it would be the easiest thing to do. So I started doing it, and the director actually told me, you have a talent at it. So I kept doing it, and then I met my girlfriend at the time in theater, so I figured I'll stick in theater so I can hang out with her more. And even after we broke up, I just fell in love with it. So I think the plays were Leading Ladies and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. So those are the two plays I got it in.
So a second girlfriend from that or not?
From theater?
Yeah.
Not from theater, no.
Okay. No. Well, you were also on the SCAC team here at Southwestern, just like I talked to Cole a while ago. Talk a little bit about, from your personal experience, what you encountered going through now from the SCAC to the ASC. Of course, a lot more competitive play, but talk a little bit about that, AJ.
It's just great to be able to play with the best guys in the country. Each week we're playing a team that could have the potential to beat us if we don't come with our A game, and that's really an exciting thing to be a part of. Make sure that we're on top of our preparation, and it ensures that we hold each other accountable.
Something I skipped over, man. I said, wait a minute, I know I had another question on here. You were also named the American Breed Grand Champion back in 2013, the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show. Talk about that, man, because you talked about growing up farming, so tell us a little bit about that as well.
Well, when I was little, my dad told me I can get you trinkets and video games each year, or I can buy you a cow, and each year you'll start having more and more cows, and you can start showing. So I got into showing when I was in the 5th grade, about 10 years old. And my sophomore year of high school, I had my first grand champion steer. His name was Bro. So, yeah, that's what I showed all my life. I was around livestock all my life.
Awesome, man. Well, as we continue to talk to A.J. Daniels here, the senior tight end for Southwestern, you're a veteran on the team as well. We talked to Cole, who's a senior. You're a senior. Can you talk about the inspiration that you feel that you have on the other teammates? Because we see it out there on the field. Talk a little bit about your role in that.
I just look back at the guys that came before me, especially guys in my position like Ben Patterson and Jeremy Snyder, and how they really took me under their wing when I first moved to tight end and just made me feel comfortable and made me feel at home. When I first got to Southwestern, I was really homesick, and these guys just made me feel like I was back at home.
We'll talk a little bit about some of the toughest challenges so far this year. You know, you guys had a skid there for a little bit, but now on a 2-game winning streak. And not to talk about negative things, but just talk about some of the challenges that you faced this year and how you guys are starting to overcome those challenges.
Coach Austin has said at the beginning of the year, each year is a new football team. You have guys that are returning from the year before, but each year is a new football team with different challenges. And so we have some young guys, and it's just trying to get them on board and get them to do the things that we do to our standard and just overcoming injuries.
And AJ, I didn't ask, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", because we can see out there on the field, so we know when AJ Daniels is out there, man. Well, what has been, we talked a little bit about some of the challenges. You've been at Southwestern for a while. Talk about some of the best memories that you've had so far at Southwestern.
Obviously winning the conference championship was amazing. Another great experience I had was when I came to Southwestern, I also got to be a part of something called Young Life, and I was able to take some kids to Crooked Creek in Colorado. And just being able to take those kids out there was probably the best experience I've had in college so far.
Awesome. Expand a little bit more about that, because you had talked a little bit, I believe, at the press conference about that. So tell us a little bit more about that program and the interaction and the inspiration that you had on those kids.
Well, Young Life is just an organization. We go into a high school and we try to make kids feel at home. It's a Christian organization, but even if they don't accept the gospel, we still go there and we're still going to love on them. And so getting a chance to take them to Colorado it's the peak of Young Life, if you will.
Awesome, man. Well, last week, as we talk about last week, a great victory versus Belhaven. You guys are on that 2-game winning streak. Talk about the mindset. You've got the bye week, but talk about your mindset right now after these last 2 wins.
I think it was really important to get these wins because we gained some confidence. I feel like we had forgot that we're a really good football team and we have the ability to beat anybody that we play. And so going into homecoming and getting ready to play Hardin-Simmons, we just needed to remember that we're a great football team.
Well, you're normally catching passes from Fred Hover, but a little trickeration last week. You got to return the favor to Fred. So talk about that play. I believe you threw a 19-yard pass to Fred Hover. Talk about that play and kind of how that came up and how exciting that was for you to finally get to repay Fred. So thank you for all the passes. I'm going to give you one, man. Talk about that.
It's always fun to run trick plays. We tried to run one the week before too. But just getting a chance to throw the ball back to Fred, it gives me a little bit of a chance to reminisce on playing quarterback and getting to relive the glory days and warm the old wing up.
Awesome. Well, as we continue to talk to A.J. Daniels, senior tight end for Southwestern University, the bye week is coming up. Of course, you guys have a game off. Talk to us about what goes on during the bye week for the players, and what are you looking forward to?
During the bye week is just really a time to rest. A lot of guys get a chance to go home. What I'm thinking about right now, what I'll be doing is I have a few steaks marinating in the refrigerator, and I'll be grilling those and just watching football all weekend.
Awesome. Well, can you talk about some of the other folks in your life that have made a big impact on you and kind of to lead you to where you're at today, AJ?
Easily my mom and dad. My mom and dad were the biggest inspirations to me when I was growing up. Other people that played a large part in my life was my youth director when I was in church in Benbrook.
Awesome, man. Well, can you talk a little bit about, just as we've talked, you're a senior. It's coming quick, man. Where do you want to be after college?
I want to see how far I can take playing, and then after I play, I wanted to be a coach since I was in the 6th grade. And so that's where I plan to be.
And coaching just pretty much anywhere on the football field at any level? What's kind of the ideas on that?
I'd like to be either a high school or college coach. And because I've played quarterback and tight end and I split out at receiver, I feel like I can coach those positions and hopefully offensive coordinator to head coach.
Well, we've got some high schools, a lot of them opening up here, so there may be some openings, man. So the Georgetown folks that are hiring, keep an eye on this young man because we may need some coaches. And we got great coaches. I'm talking about the new high schools coming in, man. So, well, finally, Mickey behind the camera there, who would you like to give a shout-out to, a little hello to tonight, man?
Hi, Mom.
Perfect. That's it. Let's give it up for A.J. Daniels, another outstanding student-athlete here at Southwestern University. And congratulations, and enjoy those steaks. I got to ask you, were those steaks come from some of yours, man, or are these ones you bought?
Not these, unfortunately.
All right. Well, we'll stop and take a quick break, segment 3, as we talk more about what's going on at Southwestern. Here in just a few minutes, stay with us, friends. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues here on SHN Sports. Well, as we quickly talk about other events going on at Southwestern University, the Southwestern Pirates men's golf team took 3rd place at the Golf Week Invitational at the Raven Golf Course. Kate Osgood, Sutherland Stith, both named the SCAC Players of the Week for their efforts. Now, the golf team travels to Abilene from October 21st through the 23rd to compete in the Hardin-Simmons Abilene Invitational to conclude the fall schedule. Let's give a round of applause for those golf guys. They did a great, awesome job. Well, this past Saturday, the men's cross-country team had a strong performance as they hosted Mary Hardin Baylor for an improvisational head-to-head meet. Josh M. led the way for the Pirates as they took the top 7 places. Valeria Acosta, Trent Ha finished second and third. For the women's team, cross-country teams now have 2 weeks to prepare for the SCAC Championship in Kerrville on Saturday, October the 27th. On October 14th, the women's soccer team was shut out by Shriner 0-2 in Kerrville. The Pirates dropped to 7-5 on the season, 5-3 in SCAC play. And they will play Austin College on October the 19th. That's tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., so hopefully the rain won't affect that. For more information on all the great things going on at Southwestern University and the athletics, be sure to visit southwesternpirates.com. And did want to also mention the men's soccer team defeated Colorado College on the 14th. And that was a thrilling game, 3-2 in overtime. As they won that one with the win, Southwestern men improves to 9-4-1 in the season, 7-3-1 in SCAC play. The Pirates will resume action on Friday the 19th on the road versus Austin College at 6 p.m. And again, southwesternpirates.com for more information of all the great things going on with Southwestern Pirate Athletics. At this time, we always want to thank our sponsors. Without you, none of this would be possible. Thank you for engaging in Southwestern Pirates and the athletic department and all that you do for the university. The platinum sponsors, Minuteman Press, Waterboy Graphics, Ty Gibson, Blake Nicholson, we appreciate you. Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Roger Chappell, Berkshire Hathaway Homes. Roger's in the house again. We got to clap for Roger every weekend, man. I told you, if you come out and you sponsor, we're going to give you a clap. Valerie Nicholson was here from Boomtown. We called her out. So if you come, you get a clap. First Texas Bank, Georgetown Jewelry, HEB, Mama Foo's Asian House, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and, of course, our friends here at the Sheraton Austin Georgetown Hotel and Conference Center. Our gold sponsors, CJ's Catering, Double Dave's Pizza, Primerica Financial Solutions, R Bank, Randolph Brooks, Federal Credit Union, Schlotzsky's Austin Eatery, South Star Bank, St. David's Georgetown Hospital, Texel Credit Union, and Turnip Seed Real Estate Group. The silver sponsors, Antioch, Georgetown, Chick-fil-A, Georgetown Commercial Properties, and our friends Craig and Sandy Mooney at Georgetown Shirt Company. The bronze sponsors, Be Creative, Boomtown Escapes, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, the City of Georgetown, Don Hewlett Chevrolet, Eagles Wings Home Services, Gary Brown, CPA, Georgetown Title, Hillstone at Wolf Ranch Apartments, John F. Lewis, CPA, State Farm Featherstone Agencies, Upstream Investment Partners, and also a special thank you to Terry Leggett with Mac Hike Fleet for providing our travel to some of those faraway games. Once again, thank you. Let's give a round of applause to all the sponsors who make these great things possible. At Southwestern, we will, in just a few moments after the break, move into our fourth and final segment as we talk to head coach Joe Austin, looking ahead to the bye week this week. We'll talk more about what goes on during that and more. Stay with us. Final segment on the way. We'll be right back. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues on SHN Sports. Again, friends, thanks for joining us for SU Football Weekly as we move into our fourth and final segment. Thank you all for being here tonight. By the way, I saw a lot of food. How was the food tonight here at the Sheraton? Man.
My dinner was good.
A lot of good food and good beverages. Good water, too. Thank you. As Carol always hooking us up with the water. We appreciate Carol getting that for us before we get started. And we'll coach a bye week this week. And then we play Hardin-Simmons on October the 27th. We'll talk more about that game next week. I don't really want to dig into it too much because to be honest, we're going to be talking about it next week, Coach. But really, the segment probably going to be pretty short. But talk about what goes into the bye week, what you're looking forward to most as we kind of get in the head of Coach Joe Austin and figure out what you like to do on the bye week, Coach.
I don't get to do what I want to do on the bye week, so I guess that conversation's out the window. But what we try to accomplish is mostly a recuperation week. You can't get totally away from your training because you work to build up your game conditioning and you work to build up your physical stamina. And if you don't do anything for 2 weeks, then that'll go away. So our goal was to practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and, of course, that went out the window. We've been outside, I think, once in the past 10, 11, 12 days. It's really been a challenge with the weather. We've got a great practice facility, but it's all grass. And in Texas, usually that's no problem because it never rains, or you go 2-3 months with no rain. But this fall has been challenging logistically, and with our winter sport starting in the gym to go with our fall sport of volleyball, with basketball starting, then even indoor practice is not feasible. But indoor practice is, you can't get a full-size field, you can't get the width and the depth, so you're limited in what you can do there. So our only chance was Wednesday morning. We got the guys up early, the ones that could handle it. Of course, we had some maturity issues with getting the guys there in the morning, unfortunately. But we were able to get a 1 hour practice in on Wednesday morning, and that's all we could do. So it wasn't an ideal bye week. We wanted to get some work done early in the week and have a little bit more of a concept in our heads and an idea of how Hardin-Simmons lines up and what they do offensively and defensively. So we've had to settle for film. We were able to do some afternoon meetings and watch them a little bit on film. I wouldn't say we're behind because I guess in the bye week you have bonus time more than being behind, but we're not as far ahead as I'd say we'd like to be.
Well, Coach, in talking about that, you just mentioned, you get a little bonus time, I guess, if you will, to kind of go over. And it comes at a great time because you're going to be playing a very tough and competitive Hardin-Simmons team. Talk a little bit more about that extra time that you guys get in preparing, and is that something that's beneficial at this point?
The way the conference schedule comes out is you have week 1 or 2 of the season to play a non-conference game, and then weeks 3 through 11 are 9-in-a-row games. And most teams will do that. In fact, some teams, to get a longer training camp, will play week 2 and then 3 through 11 conference. They'll play 10 games in a row. What we've elected to do, and Coach Lance Henson at McMurray likes this also, is we've moved our game. So on the schedule originally, we were going to play McMurray this week, but by mutual agreement, we moved that to week 2. That gives both teams an October bye week. And, of course, it is a really good time to get guys rested. Fred carried the ball for 288 yards, so him getting a week off is okay. He was a sore guy, but things add up. You're really not 100%. Your bruises kind of heal, but they don't really go away. Your muscle strains kind of heal, but they never go away. So an October bye week, I think, is a really good thing for the mental and physical health of our football team.
Well, Coach, final question for me before I hand it over to Galen. We're through approaching week 8 and a lot going on at Southwestern with the football program. Just a quick summary, kind of where Southwestern is at, where you feel that the team has really excelled at. We've talked a lot about it on a game-by-game basis, but just your overall thoughts so far as we are through the season and rocking and rolling here with a few games left.
Well, the one place that we've consistently excelled at is our rushing defense. We're doing really well at that. And then we've had some other things that are very good in spurts. Our quarterback run game is very good. Our overall run game has been very good also. So I think if you looked at one thing and say what were we best at right now, our run defense has been probably the bright spot of our football team.
Awesome, Galen.
Let's go outside the box a little bit since we're not talking about Hardin-Simmons. Let's say
I get nervous when Galen goes outside the box.
Let's say that a guy named Joshua Worthington sends you, or a parent or a coach sends you a video of his play in high school. And you like what you see, how does the process continue from there?
With recruiting Joshua Worthington or in general?
In general, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what Joshua Worthington. I was just bringing that up.
I don't either, Galen. Am I supposed to? The next thing for us is to find out how well he can read, write, and spell, because that's kind of important in Southwestern. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get his academic transcripts. And before we can recruit anyone, we have to know both those things. We have to know that they can get into school, number one, and that they can perform in a way that we feel is going to help our football team throughout the course of their playing career. So that's the next step. Getting contact information is always really important, and talking to high school coaches, and then getting to know parents, and eventually we're going to get them onto campus for a visit. But that's kind of how the recruiting process really starts for us. And it's different than a lot of teams that we're playing against. They're not getting transcripts as fast as they're getting recruiting film, and the way that they can recruit at some of these other schools. But for us, it all starts with what their academic ability is.
I covered a Division II school in the 90s, and about 15 to 20% of all the tapes came in. They should look at the name, and it would go directly into the trash can. It's just that way. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And, the people are fighting for scholarship. They'll pay their way through school, whether they use it or not, which at a lot of football schools in Division II and Division I, the academics don't mean a darn. Just playing football is.
Yeah, well, here's the unique thing about hi, can I help you? There's breaking news. I've just been handed a note. This note is for me. That's the breaking news. Thank you, baby. I'll see you later.
We're going to have she'll be a co-host, Coach. That was Coach Austin's daughter. Let's give her a round of applause.
Can someone get control of that child? What were we talking about?
Academics at Southwestern.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing. In Division I and Division II, there are standard minimums. Now, they're not really high, but there's a standard minimum. So everyone that plays in Division I and Division II has this core group of courses. They've taken a little bit of science and a little bit of math and a little bit of English, and they've done okay at it to play. Now, in Division III, all you have to do is be accepted. There's kids playing Division III football that haven't graduated high school. There are. Because schools will accept them and admit them. And in Division III, eligibility is determined by if the school says you're eligible. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So you've got such a wide gambit. People assume that Division III is all Southwestern-type schools and schools that are really geared towards academics. And there's such a wide swath throughout the country of what it is, from schools that, as I said, you don't have to graduate from high school to be admitted and play, to schools that are pretty selective like Southwestern.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you all season long as we wrap things up here on SU Football Weekly with head coach Joe Austin. Galen, as always, appreciate you as well. I don't have a week off either. I've got to MC an event here that takes place once a year to help hurricane victims. So excited about. I don't know why they chose me, but anyways, it's going to be exciting to help out hurricane victims. You don't want to have to do that, but it's one of those things that when the disasters happen, we got to be there and step up, and a lot of good folks coming together for that. That'll take place this weekend here. It's actually called the Come Hell or High Water Concert Series. Nice. So for Georgetown folks out there that would like to support that cause, all weekend long, some great things, and then we'll have a big final send-off from 2 p.m. to midnight at Hardtails here in Georgetown to help out hurricane victims from last year with Hurricane Harvey. So wanted to plug that. Great effort here in Georgetown. Well, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Wanted to remind you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this, you're on YouTube, so click the subscribe button. We would love to help get those numbers up. And for those of you that want to know how to get there, you can always go to youtube.com/SHN Sports. And the number 1, that's youtube.com/SHN Sports, numeral 1. And also, last but not least, of course, can we please thank our friends here at the Sheraton Georgetown Austin. We appreciate them. Man, they let us come over every Wednesday and come in here and hang out. Coaches, I always say we appreciate your accessibility as well, and all the fine staff at Southwestern University and what they do. Remember, friends, as I end every broadcast, reminding you we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody tonight needs you. Until then, we won't see you Saturday, but we'll see you next Wednesday right back here. For Thursday, right back here. I get confused. I do another coach's show on Wednesday. We will see you right back here on Thursday. Until then, we will see you. Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Hi, Mom.